Welcome back everyone to Vienna Spring Break 2023, last game of the day, and we're in the women's quarterfinals. We've got an all-Czech affair between East Block and 3SB. East Block beginning on offense here, working patiently against a 3SB zone. It is Benji Rees alongside Christina Obermeier as East Block work their way to just a few meters outside of the end zone. They've been hitting those open players pretty efficiently so far, but just keen not to force the issue near the end zone, as teams often do, and you don't even need to when you can just pop it in, and that is textbook zone offense there from East Block. They take a 1-0 lead.
I think we're going to see an intense match between those two teams. They know each other so well. East Block and 3SB, obviously, both from the Czech Republic and the top teams in their country, respectively.
Yep. Both right at the cream of the crop of Czech women's ultimate. You wonder for East Block if maybe they're targeting this season as a potential changing of the guard to take their place at the top of the tree.
Well, that can definitely be a goal for them. And if you have watched some of the Padua footage of ULTI.TV, you've seen that East Block came all the way towards the final. They
did indeed.
And I do believe they had their semi-final against 3SB back then.
I will double check because I had notes on this. They played Tequila Boom Boom in the semi-final. 3SB ended up on the other side of the bracket.
Other side of it.
So those two teams did not match up at Padova, but as you mentioned, final appearance for East Block, so finishing ahead of their compatriots there. Oh, that one looked like it got stuck in the grasp a little bit. And East Block, as they are often want to do, are often running again quickly after the turn. We saw this in their earlier game this morning. Here's the deep shot. They've got the target there. Putnova brings it down. She's not quite in the end zone, but that one's going to be an early break. Alishka Madalova with the goal to make it 2-0 to East Block. The Wolves overtaking the Flamingos at the moment.
We've seen East Block up quick to pick up and getting that disc moving, and we're going to expect that from both sides. 3SB also really good at doing that, and it's always super hard to prevent it, even if this is your go-to move as well.
It's kind of, you feel like in the Czech DNA, really. You know, you play quickly on the turn. You know, you try and stifle your opponent with zones. There's certainly you feel like a playbook for the two teams. Interestingly, going into this weekend is that East Block are carrying a much larger roster than their opponents, and last game of the day here for these sides, you wonder if that's going to make a difference.
I'm sure it will. Even if both teams are really fit, and 3SB definitely have a lot of legs as well. It's going to show, because every single point that you play, every game that you play leaves a bit of energy behind.
Here's the pull from East Block. It is going to keep its line and stay in bounds. And those familiar pinks of 3SB representing the Flamingo with pride, going down this near sideline. Kralikova. A little bit of float on that one. Razova has no problem reeling it in, and then the continuation. Much better point there from a 3SB perspective, but a relatively clean start to the game, actually. 2-1.
A rather clean start. No big long points yet, and 3SB advancing in that near path of the field. Close to our camera, which is always nice because we can get a close-up on the action, but always using those up-the-line shots. Working for now. I'm betting it won't work for the rest of the game, but we'll see how well they will adjust. East Block, that is, will adjust to those up-the-line gainers from the 3SB side.
It's always interesting when you play against a team that you are so familiar with, as these two teams will be, because often you find that maybe you play each other closer than perhaps you otherwise would, just because A, you've got that extra fire for playing the local rivalry, and B, because you know each other inside out, it just naturally forces close games. And I wonder how many of these two teams will be playing together, representing the Czech Republic at the European Ultimate Championships over in Ireland in the summer.
Probably a lot of them. Seen as the talent is, I want to say, split between the two teams. Look at Lusta working, mantling that offense here. Getting every other.
And then simple into the end zone, just a little bit of outside in shape on the backhand into the end zone to Alena Doležalová, making it 3-1.
I would really want to see anyone try and stop Lusta.
It's harder than it looks. And it looks pretty hard to me, to be honest.
I was just going to say, it looks pretty hard already.
But I think because she's not necessarily an imposing figure, I think it's quite easy to underestimate someone like that. And I've seen so many players be shredded that at this point you're just kind of not surprised. But it's not just her. They've got 22 players this weekend, and as we saw in their first game of the day, which we coincidentally streamed, that they have, been getting contributions from up and down the roster. We streamed that kind of rollicking win over Swarm, 15-4 I think it was this morning?
I think it was, yeah, 15-4.
It was indeed, yeah.
Against a Swiss team that, in addition to not having as many bodies, also minimized by the Swiss national team being here. So still gaining a lot of experience this tournament.
Yeah, teams attacking this in various states of readiness. Down the line there, a little bit overthrown, but not a problem for Bulanova. Going short, Volkova putting that one out into space. Kralikova, no problem there. 3-2. Just the one turnover so far this game.
Yeah, and it immediately scored upon as well. The one turnover East Block created by putting up a zone that stifled 3SB for just a little bit. So yeah, all clinical offense. We've seen zone and matchup defense played so far.
Definitely feels like so far offense ruling the roost in this one. And I say ruling the roost not just because we have flamingos. I might try and get other bird references in as the game goes on, who knows.
1, 2, 3,
I won't crow on about it.
You won't? I think that wasn't entirely correct.
Sure. 3SB just getting themselves set, trying to work out exactly how they're going to play this defense. I'm guessing from some of the communication that it might be either they're trying to pass off some switches on the line, or maybe just trying to work exactly how they want the front of that zone to set up. Going with the rolling ball, just going to curl back towards the 3SB end zone.
FrisBee back in some sort of zone setup.
Taking the open passes by swinging around. There's a little pop available there to Herschlova. Haveltsova, Dutsalista. Now Doležalová. Again, just dinking and dunking, slicing and dicing their way down the field like an Austrian delicatessen, and just about jamming that one in the jam hole to Dutsalista for the score.
I was just going to say the 3SB was far off on their defense. It seemed to be so many free players, and then in the moment when the disc got into the end zone, there was 3SB players all around the disc, but nowhere near the player with the disc in the hand. Or nowhere near is probably the wrong turn, but far enough away for Luster to put it in for a goal.
And look, it's always open if you throw it hard enough. Don't question the physics behind that. But it is just that patient, small ball offense. And often, thinking of the Czech teams, you think they kind of, it's a little bit run and gun, isn't it? They'll pick it up and they're happy to play a bit of field position sometimes. You know, they've got very capable deep throwers who like putting it, but they're also, you know, again, following that strategy of if you're just going to give us open passes, we're happy to take them.
Of course.
I think I can hear the drone firing up overhead.
Oh, are we going to see some drone footage now? And I do think, to your earlier point, that you always get something. Something's always open. You cannot ever stop everything. The defense can never do that. It's just about seeing and finding those open spots and hitting them as well.
And it's about, again, that proper team defense, so you're all on the same page. You know, working out what are we giving up, how are we giving it up as well. On the halfway line pretty much here, Ottawa. Centering to Bolanova. Oh, that one just a little bit overthrown. East Block get a hand in there with Mashkova. Looking for an option. Not quite enjoying what she's seeing. Still count beginning to tick up a little bit. Dumps off. Zaluska. Oh, a little bit too far and too low. First turnover of the game for East Block.
Trying to lay out and actually laid out under the disc.
And I think Mashkova has done herself a little bit of a mischief here and is going to have to come off. Just walking slightly gingerly off the field. Going to be replaced by Adela Stupkova.
Hope the player is okay.
3SB declining to make a change off that injury.
Works. Confidence in their players. Also,
yeah.
There's only 14 of them, so maybe they want to rest the 7 that are not on the line right now.
I'd say that's a pretty sensible suggestion. Looking for that around break into space from I'll put my teeth back in. Shromova. And then again trying to squeeze that one in there, but not really a window, and it goes to turf.
East Block with another opportunity to get up by 3.
Trebova instantly roasting it deep. Finds the target there over Lepshi. Lepshi wants to put it deep as well. Bit of air underneath this one. It's going to invite some pressure, and they went up early and did enough to prevent it going into Stupkova's hands. Good defensive pressure there from 3SB.
Yeah, 2 bodies underneath that, making sure the disc won't find the hands of East Block in the end zone.
Tight window, but finds the space in there. Now trying to get it down this near sideline. Ottawa with a wide white headband. Ooh, pops that one up ever so slightly, but Volkova chases it down. Suspiciously open is the phrase I'm going to use. That's a pick. Sartoriusova. Just freed herself with the help of a little bit of intermediate traffic.
No reset right now for Frisbee.
Eventually Sartoriusova comes through, and now Ottawa. Low on the near sideline. Here's Volkova. Furrows that little inside channel, and now 3SB going off to the races, utilising the break side space well. Shromova, a little bit behind. Not a problem though for Sartoriusova. Trying to hit that break space at the front of the end zone. Just shuffling it back and forth until they can hit that break side, making it 4-3.
3SB has incredible composure when it comes to resetting the disc and moving the disc from one side to the other. And that's basically what really got them that point here. Just working tirelessly from one side. to the other and not running the big shot, but playing selfless, I want to say. See some drone footage of the surroundings of our field. Powered to you by the Good Mood drink, Ioka.
Has it put you in a good mood today?
Oh, absolutely.
I'll be honest, I think just being in Vienna has put me in a good mood.
Oh, I love to hear that.
You could just have a look there on the drone footage of the other ultimate action going on around the fields. Got one of the other quarterfinals going on just beyond us. Swiss women's team up against Scram. The other quarterfinals are Troubles versus Catch Up and Box versus Sick. Dolejalova gets the disc back in her hands now. Dishing it off to Harova. Around, breaks to Shvetsova. Vavrova into the centre, trying to work it with that break side flow. And Tluster again in the end zone, finds that little pocket of space and makes it 5-3.
Eastblock very composed there to stack in a compressed space, and then at the right moment, just people running out left and right to give some flow in offense.
It's been interesting because it hasn't really been a game of big plays. It's just been almost metronomic, the offense at times. Yes, there's been a bit of pressure, but we haven't seen like a crazy bit or an outrageous throw at all. It's just been workmanlike, feels slightly disrespectful, but it's been a very professional performance, I think, from both sides. Like, they know what they need to do to work against the defenses they're being given, and they're doing it well.
You've not once but many times mentioned that they exactly know their opponents. They know what the defense is going to ask of them, and I do think that gives both teams this makes the whole game a bit different to what we're used to seeing at a bigger tournament like that, when you know a team so well and you know their structure, and both of these teams are really good at implementing their structure, so you know what to expect. And it's interesting because you can't really stop it, even though you do know what's going to happen.
A little bit overthrown maybe there, but more than comfortable enough to be chased down. Pressure ramping up a little bit, getting tight, high stall, manages to take the reset. Trying to get the low break around Sartoriusova, but there's no connection there with Bulanova. And then the put into the end zone, ruthless efficiency from East Block on the turn in the red zone. 6-3 they lead now, taking a little bit of command of this game now, Christina.
Yeah, they got a bit lucky, I want to say, on that bobble disc, but it's all they're doing to composedly walk that disc into the end zone, and beautiful break put into space. See, that just bobbles out of the hands, putting her body on the line to get a second effort maybe, but no chance whatsoever. And East Block off to the races with another bake. That's 2 bakes, I believe, in the favor of East Block, as they started on offense as well.
They did indeed. Temperatures just dropping a degree or two as the evening begins to draw in here. 20-7 local time here in Vienna. But I can already see that the various food fans are doing a roaring trade. Looks like the bar's getting busy as well, and that will, I'm sure, please you no end.
Of course, it pleases me. It pleases me a lot that people are enjoying themselves a little bit. And also, since the men's games have ended, I'm glad people are getting dinner already. Otherwise, those lanes are going to be enormous.
I hope we got priority boarding, or whatever the version would be. That one is thrown right into a crowd of traffic. Look at the fast hands from Rajska to bring it down. Razova. trapped on that sideline, looking for the reset off, and the force gets big enough to just force that a little more behind than they wanted it. Quick pick up there, taken by Kotrubova.
Eastblock with another break opportunity, and they've treated them very jeeringly. They're going to do the same thing again.
High release backhand down the far side. Finds Koblishkova. Ooh, bobbled a little bit. Rolling the flick into space. That one was going to be a little bit too far for the first receiver, and the second isn't going to be able to get there. There is a defender in the way, the number 70, Teresa Mrazova. Swung into the centre, and the continuation there for Sartoriasova. Dishing it off again, just trying to get that pendulum style movement across the field so they can open up those spaces, get a little bit more pressure and field position, but off the hands of Sartoriasova there. Back to Eastblock. Mashkova, who came off earlier in the game with an injury, now back on the field. Collects the disc back in her hands there off the disc from Lepshi. And now she's shooting deep. Oh, it's agonizingly close for Eastblock. As Anna Valterova, it just can't quite stick in her grasp.
Yeah, the first multiple turnover point. We see both teams rushing a little bit. It's, of course, 3SB's offensive point. And Eastblock trying to get that break quickly. Maybe they want to get to dinner in time.
Disc is going to be brought in from the front of the end zone. Again, see another plane just coming into land into Vienna Airport. Marie Volkova going towards the far sideline. Thought there was the inside lane back to Volkova there, but instead she's taking off down line. It was a little bit overthrown, and it was good recognition from Zitova as well, just to peel off the back there and make sure there was no chance. Again, quick pick up from Eastblock. Just about rolls that past the defender to Alterova. This time though, on the downfield option, coming in there. 3SB get the block. Brazova out low, brilliant layout, not only to keep it, but as soon as she caught it, you saw her turn the wrist there to prevent the ground strip on landing.
It's very important. Speaking out of some experience.
Yeah, I've done that before. And before you ask, yes, I have laid out before. It did happen. People saw it, I promise.
Yeah, believe you. Never would have doubted this.
Tries to get that one downfield and...
Foot block.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
block.
much they knew about it.
Leg block.
Just trying to come through it, and Zaliska just, I think, kind of released it at precisely the wrong time from an Eastblock perspective. And timeout called here for 3SB. Give a chance to kind of get their heads reset, especially when you're not carrying as many players as your opponent. Always good to make sure you stay refreshed, hydrated, and involved in the game. So good opportunity while the two teams have a little bit of a breather. We'll do so in the booth as well, and we'll see you on the other side of these messages.
We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. ULTI.TV. ULTILeague.net.
Those who do not know their history can never relive it. The skies, the dives, the sideline smiles. Our past is held in photo albums, drinking stories. The present is a gift. And here at ULTI.TV, we want to make sure we always appreciate it, capturing the immortal moments of Ultimate from around the world and making sure everyone can enjoy them for free, forever. Because the future belongs to all of us.
Welcome back to ULTI.TV's coverage of Vienna Spring Break. Last game of the day, women's quarterfinal. Benji Rees and Christina Obermeier. East Block versus 3SB, the teams. East Block up 6-3. 3SB taking a timeout. Oh, that came out of the hand, a little bit weird, but rescued in the end. Squeezing that down the line to Jakobin. And just about sides that into the center of the field. A little bit of toe drag swag at the front of the end zone as well for good measure. And the timeout works, 6-4.
Yeah, it looks like that timeout helped 3SB to get their composure back. Jakobin doing loads of the heavy lifting on that last offensive possession for 3SB. She actually is a Slovenian player who played for Maribor Ultimate since this club dissolved. I think one or the other player has been picking up with 3SB. Her sister-in-law, Ursza Jakobin, has been on 3SB for some time, and this is Urszka Jakobin.
Thank you for the context.
You're very welcome. Always good for a bit of gossip.
Well, this is one of the things as well, is that obviously being based in the UK, I just don't necessarily have as quite an in-depth knowledge with some of the more further afield teams as perhaps I would like. But always keen to learn. So back on offense here, East Block, beginning to get a tick or two darker as well. Vavrova on the sideline going low, but keeping it alive. Hirschlova really spearing that through a tight window, but they found the way to thread it through, and now they are really pointing their way past this defense. Gonna just slow down a little bit here in the red zone. Just a few meters out, no more. Taking the reset, swinging wide to Tlusta. Trying to hop that into the end zone. Haveltzova's not quite gonna be there, but Hirschlova is 7-4.
She's gonna hop that in.
I don't know if has the East Block O-line even turned it over yet?
I'm not so sure.
They've been just so clinical, it feels. Hello to everyone watching along in the YouTube comments, whether you're cheering one of these teams on from the Czech Republic, maybe you're elsewhere here in Vienna, maybe you're at the bar, just feel like you want to tune into our coverage of it, or maybe wherever you are in the world, whoever you are, thank you for tuning in to ULTI.TV. We appreciate all your support. I'm going to put my full YouTuber voice on. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications as well, if that's your sort of thing. And I highly recommend going to our Patreon, patreon.com/ULTI.TV or ULTI.TV. Put that into your web browser and help support the growth of Ultimate and bring free live streaming to the people, including you. Stromova. Saturiasova has the reset available there, goes back to Mrazova. Kralikova. Nice downline there from Mrazova. Mrazova whips it deep. That is some throw, and it is bang on the money to Balanova, making it 7-5. That is precision on that put.
Yeah, that is what, in my opinion, 3SB is known for, just putting their players into a position to get the perfect hook off.
And they give them the license to take those shots. If they don't come off, there's no, okay, well maybe we'll just rein it in a bit. No, go and play with freedom, play with confidence, back yourselves, because we know you've got the throws. And we know that you're going to come good eventually. And that one is just perfect. Just a little bit of cushion on it as well. You can see as well with the slowdown as well. Often when you get those power positions, you do see people, you know, not intentionally, often not majorly, but sometimes you do see that foot drag as well. But not on that occasion. Expertly done.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's quite a bit of traveling going on, and I tend to always call people out on that, but can't really do it with that throw.
Tlusta coming short. Getting it back. A little bit of pace about the offense from East Block. They can do this, you know, really turn on the jets. They're not necessarily going to sprint away from you, but they sprint through you. And it's the zip they put on these passes. They don't allow those windows to form. And just like that, it's half time. And it's only been half an hour or so. 8-5 East Block lead going into half. Dolejalova adding another goal to her burgeoning tally. But that has been I think probably the highest quality half of Ultimate we've seen all weekend, Christina.
I would absolutely agree. Those teams are clinical. They exactly know what they're doing.
Obviously, we don't necessarily get the extended half-time break. You would have the customary, you know, change of ends, switching sides, whatever it may be. As I see some goodies have been brought towards our direction. But for 3SB, you're behind in this game. What do you think the plan has got to be for them? As Stef Pazzo comes and brings some baked potatoes to the booth. I honestly, I'm an absolute sucker for a jacket potato. Thank you kindly. I think we're getting another refreshments order in. Christina, what would you be, if you're, you know, one of the 3SB leadership group, what would you be thinking about at half time? Maybe a way to change things up, or are you going to keep sticking with your system?
I think because their system is so well established, just do your thing and really push on defense. I do think that East Block is hard to defend, but people have managed to stop them, and I would switch up the defense a little bit more in order to try and stifle them.
Kralikova. Here's Mrazova. Putting that one out into space. Henrietta Ottawa. Bolanova. Oh, really nicely speared on the far sideline by Kralikova. Now they're trying to get the dump swing going, leading to space. I think that last cut just went too early there, and it cluttered that space that they wanted to attack. So now they're going to have to try and redirect the flow of traffic. Didn't really see a window there, but they managed to squeeze it in. On the end zone line, East Block just sagging and poaching in that space a little bit. They just don't want that little dish into the front of the end zone, understandably so. I must admit, I've never just bought a baked potato as a snack before, but I'm enjoying it. Checked in. A couple of yards outside the end zone, but in the centre now, working towards that far side. And then the hammer over the top towards the break space. The hammer can be such a deadly weapon when you're that close in. And utilised it brilliantly to hit that break space and make it 8-6.
Yeah, we saw 3SB really made it harder for themselves by having that one break cut a bit too early. So they had to work so much harder to get that disc into the end zone, but they did so anyway with a beautiful hammer catch. We're going to see that replay here. Great composure on their offense. They're gonna have to get a break here though. It's break time.
You're bang on. As nice as the offense might look, you are gonna have to get those breaks if you want to come back and win here, and ultimately that has to be the aim. A good pull from 3SB. A little bit of hang time on that one. Fielded from the floor, and the first pass goes to Hadova. Faking the underneath. This is going to be a little bit of a change defensively. Going from that zone to a match defense, trying to go one-on-one. Tlusta. Herschlevar in the centre. Just past the bidding defender. Can they take advantage of it? Tlusta's wide open. Continuation. Not into the end zone, though. Going to bounce it back into the centre. Pick. See the hand signals. The arms out parallel to the ground and bent at right angles at the elbows.
Yeah, there was a bit of blown coverage earlier by that layout, and I think everything moved a bit. People are running right and left, but they're managing to clean it up now. Eastblock.
Tlusta downfield. Finds Haveltsova, one of her favourite targets, and continues it into the end zone for the East Block score. Their offence does not look to have missed a beat during half-time, 9-6. For the second half, is very much continue what you were doing in the first if you're East Block, I guess. Why change it up if it's still working? Seeing just again here of the replay, the stall count rising, but doesn't get panicked, stays focused, pops it off to Haveltsova, and then continues it into the end zone for the score. I have some more liquid refreshment now, which is good because I feel like last game of the day, voice is beginning to fade a little slightly.
Yeah, that's why we ordered tea for Lucia.
I guess, a manner of speaking.
So the pole is rather short, lands on the middle of the field.
Yeah, Shoromova with a pivot point on the halfway line picks up to begin the possession. Volkova, Saturyasova. Bolanova getting the disc back and swinging it into the centre. Trying to connect her with those players downfield. Nice inside shot there to open up a bit of space to Kralikova. Bolanova. Here's Volkova. Just out in front there. Left hand brings it in from Mrazova. And then down the sideline, towed in by Kristina Bolanova. Going to make it 9-7. I can count.
Yeah, you can. You're doing a great job at that.
Thank you. It's been a long day.
Has been for all of us, players and staff and everyone around here as well. But 3SB are showing up to this game. They've really been off to the races in this, especially in the second half. They know what they have to do to stay in this game, which is playing flawless offense and then trying to push on defense.
The way that East Block have been playing, though, that's easier said than done.
Oh yeah, for both sides though. East Block got the advantage and they got a bit lucky from individual mistakes, but they've converted it, and that's all them.
They've just been able to keep their opponents at arm's length, really. Dominika Kralikova with the ball. At 2/3 of the way down the field. First pass goes to Herschlevar. Herschlevar's opening it up and waits it perfectly for Haveltsova. Dishing it to Tlusta. Back to Haveltsova for the score. We'd feel like we'd seen East Block mostly work it short, but that one time, 3SB gave them the deep look available, and East Block did not blink.
I said that before, I'm going to make that point again. Take what the defense gives you, and this time around, 3SB pushed them deep and open it up, and if you have a thrower that can throw it, and if you have the open player who's got legs underneath, you have to take that option, and they just did a really good job at that.
Yeah, wherever the open throw is, whether it's, you know, a couple of yards behind you or whether it's 30 yards downfield, if someone's open and you've got the confidence to do it, take the open pass.
Just do it. Bob the Builder said it best.
Like, what was my thought? The number of times I've seen people look off open passes because they're the wrong open pass to throw something that's a lot less open later in a stall count just drive me a little bit batty at times. Also, I'm worried because we're now on camera, and so you can see probably that we look a little bit cold and tired. Thanks, Lucia. Greatly appreciate that. Here's Shromova. Shromova looking for the deep, underneath the mark. That is another beautiful throw. I think both of these sides are done with dink and dunk. Hey, why not? Shoot has got to shoot.
That was a break throw under coverage. He threw that underneath the underneath their marker, just into space for the receiver to get it. And the beautiful thing about those break side deep shots is that receivers downfield will be uncovered. Look at that. She goes low, releases the disc a bit earlier than usual, and punching it in with 3SB. Still trailing by 2 though.
These two sides have scarcely put a foot wrong offensively all game. If you're a potential opponent for either of these sides tomorrow, I'd try to make sure I'm on top form.
I think you always are, Benji.
I mean, you're not wrong, to be fair. Nice high release backhand toward the far side. Now getting it moving on the run through Lucy Vavrova. Oh, that one was tipped, but it did end up in Talista's hands. 3SB trying to ratchet up that defensive pressure a little bit now. Vavrova. Again, just finding those little threads through the front cup of that defense. Just shuttling it back and forth, keeping the disc moving, never trying to let that stall count get too high, trusting that we'll get it into the end zone eventually. I think someone's teabag's fallen all the way into the cup. Down the line, and bang on the money, just whipping it in there, Vavrova to Haveltseva to make it 11-8.
This was a way longer point than the ones we usually saw from those two teams. I think Frisbee did a really good job of stopping those options, especially around the disc. They didn't manage, Eastblock didn't manage to move as quickly with it, but they really know how to break a zone.
Especially when I know it's a little bit cold, it's getting a little bit darker, and there's maybe a little bit of wind, but nothing too much to worry about really. You haven't got the elements providing that extra defender that are so nice to have when you're playing any defense really, but especially I think in a zone.
Men's side supporting their respective teams. I'm not so sure about the division of Czech Ultimate in terms of who supports whom, since 3SB and Fui are one big team.
I think they're kind of just supporting whoever really.
They're friends.
Yes.
Teammates. 3SB, of course, also really good in the mixed.
That was where I first came across them, actually, back at Paganello 2015. I think it was my first encounter with 3SB. What was the formation of the Heckle squad? There's a story for that in the bar later. Still got the jersey, by the way. Not with me this weekend, though. for everyone's benefit. It's a bit of an eyesore. Mrazova. Back to Shromova. Volkova, again, demonstrative with the fakes. Just trying to get that front line to just spread apart a little bit, or you could just pop that cheeky little hammer over the top, and Bulanova punches it into the end zone to Shramova for the score. 11-9.
Looking at those two teams, you can definitely see the two different ways to attack a zone. 3SB waited to see what the zone was open and then put it into space, put the disc into space, whereas East Block is trying to move the defense around as much as possible with many quick pop passes. Both of them require good field vision and throwing capabilities, but it's just two very different styles of attacking those similar zone setups that both of these teams are playing.
Yeah, it's all about kind of adjusting depending on what you see from the defense. And if you, for example, think, okay, we're going to try and get it through the front line of that zone, and then all of a sudden, well, they close up the front line of that zone a little bit to stop allowing those shots. Well, maybe then that opens the around shot, and then everyone gets a bit further back. So you get the little inside ones, and then they come in, and then you get the hammers over the top. It's all about being adaptive and reactive, and a little bit proactive as well. East Block back on offense here. Pushlova. Shvetsova. And just keeping the disc moving. Nothing too complicated. Except maybe the sheer pace and dynamism of play. Oh, they got a hand on it, and it still ends up in East Block's grasp. It's been that kind of game for the women in white. Even when they don't quite get things right, they're still getting the breaks.
It must feel so stifling for 3SB as they are trying their hardest to get through, and you get that disc, you touch it, and then still ends up in the hands of the opposing team.
And again, it's just the verve at which they cut through it. And the one time they maybe put a foot wrong and the defender's able to flash in there, get a hand on it, they've still got the focus and concentration to make sure they're there to have it fall pretty much directly, literally in their lap.
I just saw the score on the other field, and it's a very different one to the one we're seeing here. It's 14-0 in favor of the Swiss national team. We're playing Scram right now.
Yeah, not gone great for the Scots there, but they're still battling and plugging away late in the game. And, oh, it's 14-1.
We did see the right moment there.
So 3SB. The Flamingos back to work. Trying to find the underneath. Defender is tight, but not tight enough. Now Kralikova opens up the arm, tight towards the sideline. Still reeled in regardless. Another successful deep shot. Oh, an arcing hammer over the top, and just got her feet caught under her a little bit, and it spins out of the grasp for what might be the first turnover of the second half.
I was just going to say, I do think this is the first mistake 3SB have made in the second half, and that is because of a trip.
It's probably not how East Block would have wanted to generate a turn, but I'm not sure they're going to complain.
I'm sure they're going to take what they get.
Lepshi opening it up. This is going to require a little bit of a chase down. Oh, I thought it was going to drop and sink like a stone. Zaluska does keep it alive. Now she wants to get it off the line. Sent it to Mashkova. This one down the sideline, always going to float a little bit. Can it be tracked towards the back of the end zone? No. Lepshi just never got the feet set for the layout.
I think she was distracted for a split second by the defender rushing through, and then this second was enough for the disc to just fly over her head, and nothing she could do to catch up to that disc.
Some very loud, presumably Czech voices over towards our left-hand side. Mrazova. What can 3SB do with their second opportunity? Bolanova, dished off. Mrazova down the sideline. High release, going to put a little bit of float on it. And 2 receivers there, caught on the end zone line, but still not quite in yet. Saturyasova does find the force in there to Volkova for the score.
I'm not sure about that decision making there for Frisbee, but it works out. And a quick dish into the end zone for the score. Not quite in there.
Yeah, I think you can see there exactly what Krolikova thought of her decision making. One of the things I find is often really tricky is that even the scoring throw was actually a little bit behind. It's trying to have the results independent analysis, where regardless of whether it worked or not, was it still, was it the right option? Did you execute it well? Did it fit in with what you were trying to do as a unit? And often that's tricky because I think naturally false positives are quite easy to come by. You bang it for a score and you think, this is great, we should do it all the time. But actually it might have been a really low percentage option and the throw came off really badly. It just got some crazy breaks on it. So, yeah, sometimes it's difficult to separate the process from the result. East Block back to offense. An offense that has been basically faultless. And I say basically faultless because there is a fault. One receiver leaving it for the other. 3SB looking to strike on the turn, but Hadova says no and gobbles that one up greedily. And boy, did she need to.
Heads up play from Hadova. Gets East Block that disc back, and they're back to the races with the zone-up defense from Frisbee.
Yeah, it was just a simple miscommunication between Schlister and Shvetsova that gave the disc away. But already they're back in as if nothing happened. Schlister outside the end zone, doesn't like that shot down the line, centers it to Herschlova. Hadova, having earned the turn at one end, just a simple little flip to Schlister for the score. I think the combined, if we say like the average distance from most of East Block scores this game, what, a couple of meters out?
Yeah, I think that works. That math works definitely, and you can see how this front cone is really important to protect. I want the high disc in the back of the end zone. I don't want, especially Kluster, but probably any player, be open right in front of the disc, person with the disc, to just pop it in for probably the easiest throw to do in ultimate. Push pass tournament.
I think often, especially because East Block are, they're a younger unit. They're not necessarily as physical perhaps as some of the other teams in the division, and so maybe you feel if we can force if we can not let them have those, the simple short options, and we can maybe force them to go a little bit longer, maybe we can get into, we can play some height mismatches. We can try and be a bit more. We can make our presence felt a little bit perhaps. That might be one way around it, but I must admit when they're on this form, they're going to be hard to stop. Hustling down to stop the offense after the pull. Defender on the shoulder there of Hermina Otava. Kristina Bolanova into the red zone now with Mrazova. Just a couple of yards out. Can they find the scoring pass? Oh, it's a really congested area, and in the end it falls to turf. I think just got trapped on the front cone there and ran out of time.
Trapped on the sideline rather. They've been working it down that far side, and I'd really love to see them work all the width of the field, as East Block are doing now.
Must admit from the Drobe can, I'm struggling a little bit to tell the pink shirts from the white ones. And I wonder if that's the problem for East Block as well, as that one's overthrown and just palmed slightly further out of reach there by Bolanova. Thankfully, I don't need to look at the drone footage because I can just look in front of me. But
so are you not pro drone footage, Benji? Are you slightly pro Cam 1, Cam 2 setup only?
Look, I'm not a tech dinosaur, but I have a way that I like things done.
Okay.
Is this because I'm on some sort of spectrum? Who could say? Oh, that one tried to spread them apart and piece that through, but poaching off that wing on the far side. Snaffled away by Anna Urbankova. Went with the hex style setup on offense, but East Bloc were ready for it, and with the stall count rising, going for the back of the end zone and bodying and boxing out for the first break of the second half. It goes East Bloc's way, and they are now within one of victory. Under an hour played, and it's 14-10 to East Bloc.
Game point for East Bloc if they manage another break. 3SB on the other side.
I mean, we haven't seen a break for, what, 20 points, something like that?
Probably.
It's crazy, the
yeah.
quality.
Especially looking at 3SB's very small roster.
You wonder now if they're really beginning to feel it in the legs. I'm beginning to feel it in the legs, and I haven't even been playing.
Well, you're starting up all the time. I'm sitting around.
That's just because I'm cold. I need to keep the blood going.
Fair enough.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So this could be it for East Bloc if they could turn the disc and punch it in. Pull fielded by 3SB. Comeback, by the way, is not out of the question, but it might be if you get the run through there like Janska does.
There's going to be a discussion, though.
You can have a look at it now on the replay. Oh, yeah, I think there's a little bit of contact maybe after the turn. Looks like call retracted potentially. So it's going to stay in Janska's possession. Oh, she just looked like lost her footing a little bit there, but is able to get the reset off to the poached player in the center, Mashkova. Here's the blading shot, slung down the sideline, and East Bloc will see you in Sunday's semi-finals. 15-10 final score.
What a performance by East Bloc, getting that win in stride. Beautiful end with that run through block and the score on the other side.
Yeah, you can see Milan flying that drone can in there nice and tight. Love that shot. And I'm sure, you know, obviously spirits be very high on East Bloc's side. 3SB, again, this is, you know, with all due respect to Vienna Spring Break, and I might put my foot in this here, you know, again, it's early season for these sides. It's not necessarily national championships, and I'm sure 3SB will be keen to make sure they can retain their crown there. But based on the early season's results, East Bloc might be the new top dog in the Czech Republic.
Temporary top dog for sure, as we have the direct game here now, but I've already mentioned that before. The numbers are lower on 3SB. They're missing some bits and pieces, as are East Bloc, I'm sure, and I think every opportunity to play each other will make these players better.
Yeah, they're going to continue raising the standard of themselves and each other by playing these nice, close, high-quality games each other. And for East Bloc, they're going to be a tough ask in the semi-final tomorrow, and 3SB got to pick themselves up and try and play for the 5th place spot. And that is that for day one here of Vienna Spring Break. I think we've got some extensive pack-up to do, joy of joys, and then I think we'll enjoy the festivities. Might even have a little bit of Eurovision later in the evening. Who knows? But for all of us here at ULTI.TV, you can see Stef Pazzo and Milan behind the desk. You've got Lucia on cam 2, and you can't quite see him because he's just behind the shot, but handsome Rob Mann in camera 1 as well. For all of the Vienna Spring Break staff and volunteers, and for the wonderful Christina Obermeyer next to me, Benji Reese saying we will see you on the other side for Vienna Spring Break Finals Day.
Thank you. Thanks. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
Thank you. Thanks. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.